You said after the game that changes might need to be made. Have you thought any more about that over the weekend?
Yeah, I've done nothing but think after the weekend. I've tried to put things into perspective. That was only our third defeat this season. We don't need to press a panic button, but I've also got to look on the other hand of nipping things in the bud and looking what the rest of the season holds. And I think I'd like to bring in some fresh faces. But I think that, we've still got a group of players that could be successful here. I think the squad needs to get a little bit deeper. And there needs to be a few fresh faces for a couple of reasons. I think, we need to put some pressure on the players that are in the side. We need a nice fresh impetus mentally and physically. Just to kick-start it again.
So you're saying that, obviously. Do you think that there's perhaps a little bit of a missing spark somewhere in there, just to ignite your season a little bit again?
I wouldn't say missing spark. I don't think this group of lads deliberately went out and played poorly on Saturday. What can happen? It could be a multitude of things that happen. When you start the season like we have, we haven't done badly. We still look at us now. I think we're 9 points off top with the game in hand. I think we're something like 4 points off the playoffs, with the game in hand. So we probably are ahead of where I thought we'd be at this stage of the season. We're more or less a third of the way through now, and we took nicely in a pack. There's no panic button, but my job is to analyse what we've done and analyse where we are and see what I can do to make us better, and to make sure that we're competing in that top half. And the top end of the table. To do that, we might have to bring some fresh players in. So
you mentioned there perhaps bringing in some fresh players. Are you close to any, or is it very much preliminary at the minute?
Yeah, I've been close to them. I've been sort of behind the scenes. It's I sort of sense that come to this point that we might need some. So I've been talking to a lot of people. And there might be some movement in the next. It could be within the next 24 hours. It could be within the next week. But saying that, whether players do come in or don't come in, I want to see a response from this group. Like I say, no panic stations. And I know I felt the sort of despair after the game, and because we've been beaten and there's no excuses. That's 2 games now. We've had 3 goals put past us at home, and that's no basis for being successful. But the lads are honest. I don't think they deliberately went out there and put on a poor performance. But like I say, now we have to look between now and the next. I look at the season in 3/3. We're sort of third away through it now. It's the next third that's really important to me, and we want to be coming into this Christmas period in a nice position in the table. So we can plan for the last third.
Looking at that then, obviously we move on to the next third with 2 derby games, first tomorrow night at Lincoln. It's an important game for the fans, they're all going to be looking forward to it, but in your point of view, what's going to change tomorrow night, if anything?
Well, I'd like to see our mindset change tomorrow night. What I asked, when we lost last time 3-0 to Kiddy was a response. Now, I got a response in a tough game at Wrexham. Tuesday's going to be a really tough game. All derbies are. There's no easy games, as Saturday showed. There's no easy games in this league. But I want a response from these players, and I'm hoping I get one. But like I say, there's a bigger picture. I don't think it's about the next 2 games. I've always said from the beginning of the season when people say we were playing well and playing good football and winning games. There's nothing won at this stage. My mindset's still the same. I've got to be very level in terms of my thought process and make sure that we don't explode or we don't implode because of one game or 2 or 3 games. The next 2 or 3 games aren't gonna judge where we finish at the end of the season. But we need a response. We know it was poor Saturday. The players knew that. They know we'd let ourselves down. But we need a response. So it's not about the next 2 games for me. It's where we it's where we finish. You know, my thoughts have got to be beyond. You know, don't get me wrong. I'm not dismissing the next 2 games because they're really important games and we want to pick up as many points as possible. But I've got to be looking at being analytical of what this side is and what's going to make it a contender for that top 6, top 5.
You mentioned there about the bigger picture, and obviously Tom Naylor's going to be a key part of that. But he went off injured on Saturday. Have you got the latest on him?
Well, it was a bit of a hamstring pull, so obviously I'll speak to Jace this morning and see where we are. But Tom's he's had a really unlucky season at this minute. You know, doing particularly well on Saturday and then pulls his hamstring. So, but it just shows you, like I say, that I think the squad needs deepening. You know, for 1 or 2 reasons, and one of those reasons is when we do pick up injuries. This is the sort of time of the season where we do pick up injuries and suspensions. We want to be, we want to have, you know, we want to have good replacements coming in.
Any other injuries news, bar Tom?
We've got 1 or 2 knocks, if you know, in the squad. You know, but I think most, you know, a lot of them are like superficial and they're just bangs. And I think, you know, after a result like Saturday, it's very easy to go and see the physio. I've been to see him 3 times. You know. But no, there's a few bangs. You know, there might be 1 or 2 that are in doubt for Tuesday. But like I said, we won't know till after training today.
Cheers, Paul.
So who do you think struggling?
We might have Ben Futcher struggling. He took a well, he didn't know whether it was a kick or he took a tweak in his calf. So you know, he could be a doubt. John Worthington took a bang, but I would have thought it'd be okay. And obviously Tom. So but yeah, I think there's 1 or 2 with a few aches and pains and a few knocks, but I think it was more mental than physical. It's never nice when you know when you lose a football match, and you know sometimes 1 or 2 can start and feel sorry for themselves, you know. But you know, whatever side we put out against Luton, you know, I'm looking for a response, you know, and I hope I get one.
I mean, after that on Saturday, I mean, it's probably a good game to be going into, in that there's going to be loads of Stags fans there. There's going to be a really good local derby atmosphere. I mean, it's going to get them up, isn't it, more than anything?
Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, John, I actually think if there was an empty stadium, it was a behind closed doors game where we played against ourselves, I would have thought, I'd like to think I'd have got a response. You know, like I say, I don't want to be too damning, because, you know, sometimes it's a manager that has to do things about, you know, the scenario. You know, that's only our 3rd loss of the season, and if you look at our goals for and our goals against tally, it's up there with the sort of top 4. We're ahead of schedule where I thought we'd be come this stage of the season, the 3rd in. But we can always get better, and I said that, you know, that I have to be consistent with what I say. You know, when we beat Newport 5-0, I thought then that we can get better. Now, for us to get better, there might need to be some fresh faces be brought in, simple as that, and some players that I think that can make the team and the squad better. You know, so but I've been aware of that for the last 2 weeks, and like I say, you know, we put a few irons in the fire, you know, because I've got to make sure that players that I bring in have the right mindset, and I'd like to think it's good, if not better, than what we've got here. So, you know, working hard. We've got a few lads coming in, you know, just have a look at this morning, just on trial. But this, you know, that usually happens week in, week here. But yeah, you know, I've certain targets that I'm looking at, and you know, if we get them, brilliant. If we don't, you know, I don't think it's about me bringing fresh faces. I think it's about this group of players here just giving me a response and giving the club a response.